this will be my third trip to Chile, and I enjoyed it the last 2 times. So I'm enjoying this as much as I've seen today. But most of the day has been spent travelling or doing interviews. So it's, but it's nice, you know. The air's nice, and the people are lovely, and you know, it's warm. But I didn't even get a chance to change when we came off the plane. But no, I'm perfectly happy here. You know, I remember walking around when I first came here 20 odd years ago, and just walking around in Santiago and having a great time to myself. And the audience's reaction to the concerts have always been great as well. So I've got nothing to complain about. I mean, the closest that you could get to a South American audience in Europe would be in Spain, you know, where they're crazy there as well. So it's the Latin thing going on, you know, definitely, and it's always, they're always very vocal, you know, and they don't come, they never seem to be overly drunk, you know. There's some places that you go to when you're on tour, and depending on where you're playing depends on how drunk they're going to be, and that's a different kind of concert again. Every audience is a different, and every different territory has a different way of reacting to things. You know, the Japanese are very, very quiet, and then as it builds, they get more and more and more excited, and then it just quiets down and they leave. You know, the South Americans are mental before they even get in there. You can hear them singing coming down the street. You know,
so it's like a football audience
relation.
Yes,
well, it's that kind of thing. You know, it's that passion. Well, it was Silvio. He's a promoter from Brazil, and he's been doing it now, I think, for 5 years, and he's had various singers coming in and coming out. You know, he's worked with Blaze and with UDO, and with Ripper Owens, and for the last 3 years, I think, he's been trying to get me to do this also, but I've always been busy. So we scheduled this at the beginning of the year. So I kept my schedule free to do this. I just finished on Saturday there and flew out here on the Tuesday. So it's a continuation of touring for me, but playing different songs with different musicians. And I think it's an exciting idea. You know, they can do it with guitar players, with the G3, you know, where you get Vi and Satriani and Zakk Wylde or whatever, and you can do that. Why not try it with singers? And it works, and it works. I hope. I haven't done it yet, but I've been out on tour with the Michael Schenker Fest, and we have Graham Bonnet, Gary Barden, Robin McCauley, and myself. So for the first time ever, I've been sharing a stage with other singers on a longer term basis. I mean, I've guested with people before, so I'm not coming at this cold now, which is quite good, because it's always, I didn't know how I was going to play well with other children, really. Well, I don't know, to be honest, because we haven't done anything yet, and I've known Blaze for a few years now. Our paths have crossed, you know, when we were in bands that were based in London, you know, him with Wolf's Bane and myself with Midnight Blue. But we've never worked together, and I've never met Udo, and I've never met André Matos either. So that's going to be interesting in itself to see what the dynamic is. You know, it's. I think we're all professional enough to understand that we're here to do a good job and give the people a good show, you know. I think people, when you get to that kind of situation, people just leave their egos at the door, which you have to do when you're working with other people. Oh, well, I mean, my favourite artist of all time is David Bowie. You know, I since 1972, David Bowie. And what was great for me was that when he started going through the Scary Monsters, the Young American Scary Monsters, it was so far removed from anything that he had done before, and I couldn't follow him because the fashion was so bad. I hated the fashion. By that time I was a rocker. I was a young rocker, and I wanted to dress in my denims and my leathers, and I didn't want to walk around with high waistband trousers and get my hair cut in a sort of weird sort of. I wanted to have long hair. Yeah, you know. So I ignored that whole period. You know, apart from the singles that you heard on the radio, I ignored that whole period. And then I liked what he did with Tin Machine. And what's been happening now is I've been going back and revisiting those old Bowie albums, Low and Station to Station, and finding some amazing stuff. So it's like new music for me because I'd never heard it before. And so that was exciting. I always wanted to be, my brother's a singer, right? My brother's also a singer, he's a great singer. In a much more Paul Rodgers-y, John Martin kind of, Michael McDonald, he's got a very husky, smoky voice. And when we did the first show with Rainbow in Helsinki, he was there. And we were all sitting in the lobby playing Soldier of Fortune. My brother sang Soldier of Fortune with Richie. And Richie said, do you know, if I'd heard him sing first, Doogie, you wouldn't be in the band. I thought it was brilliant. But I always wanted my brother and I to be backing vocals for Bowie. That would have been great to do the backing vocals for Bowie. What I think happened was that the people who were making a lot of money from the bands in the 80s and 90s decided that they could make more money in gaming. So they took the money that they were putting into the record companies and put it into games, because people were starting to steal music. People were starting to be able to record records very cheaply, and now you have, everybody can make an album now, and many of them are very good. But what it's done is it's brought for working musicians that's all that they do. If someone goes to a record company and records an album and sells it to a record company for $1,000, that buggers everybody else up, because you can't make an album for $1,000 unless you're working for IBM and you're working at the post office, you're the local butcher and you're doing this, and your band's made up of these guys. Then you can, because you're doing it as a hobby. But what it does is it brings down the money that the record companies will be prepared to pay for people who make their living from music, like I do, to be able to go and record albums, which is why I've only done one solo album in my entire career. Everybody tells me how beautiful it is. That's what they're telling me. And they're saying that, do you eat fish? And I'm thinking, yeah. And saying, well, that's the place to be. You know, so I'm always excited to go to new places, and hopefully I'll have time to walk around and have a look and see what's going on. But generally in this business you get to go everywhere but you see nothing really, because you're in, you sound check, you do the show, back to the hotel and you leave. I listen to talk radio, and I download podcasts from talk radio, and they generally last 2 or 3 hours. So on a 6-hour flight, if I'm going to America, I can listen to 2 podcasts and I'm done. The last album that I bought was a band called Avatarium, and it was the guy from Candlemas who wrote the first album, and it is brilliant. It's my kind of music. It's that old 70s kind of gnarly sounding with a Hammond organ and the guitar not doing all the flashy stuff but just playing. That was the last album I bought, and I enjoyed them. It's a female singer who does such a fantastic job, because if you stuck a man's voice on it, it would sound like Black Sabbath Sabotage. It's got that kind of raw thing. So with a female and voice in it, it takes it off somewhere else and makes it really interesting. What else have I got? I've just got a whole bunch of stuff on my little iPod that I buy Classic Rock magazine in the UK, and I play it in my car, and if I like what the CD is, then I just burn it onto my iPod, and it comes up randomly, and a lot of the time I don't know who it is, and I have this, who's that? I like that. And I like Alter Bridge. I like his voice. I like what he does. He's very clever. What's his name? But he's very vocally he's very, very clever. I think he works with Slash as well. But he's got an outstanding voice, and I like the way that he blends his harmonies, because you never quite know what the main melody line is, because it's always interweaving, and it's so that's interesting for somebody to do something like that. I like that. Thank you for inviting me back to your lovely country. I hope to see more of it, and I hope I'll be back very soon to see you all again. And for those of you coming to the show, leave your cameras at home. Come and be part of the show. You're as important as everybody else is. Come along, enjoy it. It'll be magical. It'll be great. I know Blaze is going to deliver. I know that Udo's going to deliver. I know that André is going to deliver, and I will just do my best for you. I'm on first, so be there.